In this demo, we will add support for vendor-specific media types when getting an author. Let's start by adding a DTO class for our full author. We'll name it author full DTO. It contains likewise properties as the author entity. And let's immediately add a mapping from the author entity to the author full DTO. We will need this. So we open the author's profile and we call into create map, passing through entities.author as source and models.author full DTO as destination. On to the get author action. We are already binding the value of the accept header to the media type string. So far, so good. And the first thing we now need to know is whether links should be included. For that, we have to look at the subtype without suffix, so without plus JSON, and check if that matches HateOS. So we call into subtype without suffix on our parsed media type and check whether it ends with HateOS. If that is the case, we need to create these links. We need to be able to differentiate between the full author and the friendly author and application JSON. As these last two are the default, we can simply check for the full author part of the media type. So, with a bit of string manipulation, we can easily get that. It's either the subtype without suffix or that same subtype without suffix, but without the HateOS part. If that matches vnd.marvin.author.full, we know we have to return an author full DTO. In any other case, we want to return the friendly author representation, so we map and shape, potentially include links and return that. We can get rid of this old code from the previous demo now, because this is our complete action. Let's give that a try. Let's try getting a full author. And we hit that 406 not acceptable error again. That makes sense. There isn't a single output formatter that supports this media type. We could now go ahead and add all these types to the JSON output formatter, and that will work. But there is also another way. Back to our code. A few clips ago, I mentioned that there was a way to couple media types to specific resources. By applying the produces attribute, we can restrict the media types an action will produce. That makes sense for our use case. We are pretty strict in what we want to allow to be returned. We don't want to, for example, let this action return something when, say, vnd.marvin.course was set as value for the accept header. Currently, that would work if vnd.marvin.course was registered on the JSON output formatter. So let's solve these two issues in one go. The more specific and strict you want to get, so the tighter you want to get your contract, the more you will need to start working with produces attributes like this. So let's apply a produces attribute to the getAuthor action. We pass through all the types that are allowed to be produced by this action. Be careful with this though, this is very restrictive. Any type not in this list will result in a 406 not acceptable. But depending on how tight you want your contract to be, this is exactly what we want. A quick tip: to avoid too much duplication, you can also apply the produces attribute at controller level or even globally. It's just a filter, so it can be added to the global filter collection if needed. It's not applicable for this demo, but it might come in handy in real life. Let's give this another try. Let's send that request again. And here's our full author, without links. Now let's try requesting a full author with HateOS links. And there we go. Also works as expected. Two more things to check. Let's try getting a friendly author without HateOS links. Works as expected. And lastly, let's try getting a friendly author with HTOS links. And this works as well. One more thing. Let's try not passing through any accept header value at all. That should give us the default, which is a friendly author without links. So far, so good. That's it for output. But what about input? In other words, what about allowing the consumer to input data in different representations? Let's learn about that next. When inputting data, we can use vendor-specific media types as well, by setting them as value for the content type header. But what would be a good use case for that? Well, I made a small mistake. It's a shame, but people die, so do authors. Currently, we have a date of birth but no date of death. What we're going to do is add a date of death field for our authors in our database, and in the future we want to ensure that when posting an author, this field can optionally be passed in. We don't want to break existing implementations though. A consumer should still be able to pass through an author without that field. So we should be able to input an author as we're used to. Let's say that that's valid for application JSON and the author for creation media type. An author with a date of death would then be signified by the author for creation with date of death media type. Now, in this example, we are just adding a field. Sometimes this is solved between quotation marks by just changing the type with the added field and checking it for null values. That isn't conceptually correct anymore though, and should be avoided. Moreover, if fields take on a different meaning or are removed, that approach becomes harder. Here too, being strict thus improves reliability and evolvability. Let's check this out with a demo.